Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United pod. I'm your host, TC, and I'm joined by your co-host, Scott. Hello, Scott. How you doing, pal?
Good, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Didn't get as much sleep as I might have liked last night after the news.
Watching the protests, are you?
Definitely not. Much more positive news for me. And then I stayed, when I did get to sleep, I was dreaming of other transfers all night, so it was a pretty good night for me. On today's show, we focus on the imminent signing of Dutch International Donny van der Beek, where he will fit in and what we can expect from him as a player. We'll round up all the other Manchester United transfer rumours and news. We also look back on the under-23's latest outing over the weekend. First, though, Scott, the news broke pretty quickly yesterday. Came as a bit of a surprise.
I mean, any time we pull something off on a Sunday, it's always a surprise, right? And the fact that it didn't take 3 weeks from beginning to end. But, I still haven't seen him with a shirt, holding his shirt up yet. So not everything's been crossed for me. So I'm still waiting for that.
Yes, I mean, all the noises, all the reputable sources that could be saying that it is on the verge are saying it. We've even got the likes of the BBC and the Times coming out with it, and they normally wait for sort of facts. As it stands, it seems like it's gone through so quickly due to a good relationship between the two clubs. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer played with Edwin van der Sar, now the CEO of Ajax. If it is to go through, which it looks likely, it looks like a bit of a snip, 35.7 million up front, or, that's the guaranteed money, and then add-ons up to 39.3 million pounds. For a player like that, it seems this is pretty good business, Scott.
Yeah, it is. It's a strange one because there were reports that he had agreed a deal with Real Madrid in the summer, and that was around 45 million euros. I don't know if his contract's running out or something like that, which is why his price has been reduced. But you're right, it's a great deal for a Dutch international.
Yeah, Dutch international, and he's only 23 years of age.
Yeah.
He's actually younger than Scott McTominay. That caught my eye when I worked that one out.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah. Look, what I'm hearing is that there's a potential of a medical at Dutch training. Mm-hmm. He's obviously gone there today. He's checked in today with the Holland national team. So there's a possibility that there's going to be a medical there. Some reports are that there'll be a medical at Carrington. We'd have to wait till, next Wednesday pretty much, because Holland play on Saturday and I think Tuesday. Mm-hmm. But if there's going to be a medical on Dutch duty, that'd be pretty tasty. We could have some kind of an announcement in the next few days.
I just want something signed. I just need it to be contractually obliged that he's going to come, right? I don't want to start getting my hopes up and then he's going to go and get a better contract somewhere else.
Yeah, well, it looks for all the world that we're going to. Look, he's come through the Ajax Academy. He's been there 12 years. We actually looked at him in 2015, Louis van Gaal, one of his many players that he was interested in when he was just 18 years old. And now 5 years later, it looks like it's going to happen. Dennis Bergkamp actually picked him out as one to keep an eye on in the youth setup, reminded him himself, he said. Should have taken his own advice, really, because now Van der Beek's hooked up with his daughter.
I hope he's not like his dad in that way.
No. Look, he plays anywhere in the midfield. He's pretty comfortable off both feet. He has played quite deep for Ajax this season at times. He seems to play his best football when he's got licence to roam and raid and close people down. He likes to play attacking midfield too. But if you had to say where he might fit in to our current team, where would you like to see him deployed most?
It's a difficult question. I actually had him earmarked as more of an attacking, almost a winger, to be honest with you. I thought he could play more of a Jason Park role and play those roles. And then watching the many YouTube compilations I watched last night, I actually see him being more compared to Ander Herrera. I see him being industrious, tenacious in the middle, and just a new engine in there, right?
Yeah, that's definitely one comparison that's popped up is a more creative Ander Herrera. That's one of the ones. Also, a Jason Park has popped up as comparable sort of tenacity of a player. Thomas Muller in the way that he picks up sort of pockets of space. Although what I'd probably say about those three players is the thing they've got in common is their uniqueness as players. They're quite dissimilar. They're quite a one-off. And I think that's what we're going to see from Van der Beek as well. He's so versatile. You're right, he is good going forward. In the last couple of seasons, he's had 32 goal involvements in the Eredivisie. So 50 games, 17 goals, 15 assists. And in the Champions League, 8 goal involvements in 16 games. So 5 goals and 3 assists. So going forward, he does have that knack of picking up space in the box and very, very composed one-on-one or with a goal gaping.
Yeah, and scored some impressive goals, right? Away at Chelsea, away at Tottenham, all big goals in the Champions League, away at Valencia as well.
You're absolutely right, Scott. He scored away at Juve
Yeah.
too. He scored at Chelsea and Spurs. I noticed actually from his goals, he scored over 10 goals in the last 3 seasons, 13, 17 and 10. Obviously a shorter season this season. But in the last couple of seasons, out of that 17, 9 were away, and out of the 10, 4 were away. So almost half of his goals do come away, which again points to a player with a very good mentality.
Yeah, huge. And I just hope he's able to provide us with a bit of nous, a bit of quality to unlock these bottom half of the table teams that we have a lot of trouble breaking down. As well, he's going to offer a bit of respite for Pogba and for Bruno in terms of not just minutes, but in terms of what they have to do on the pitch. So I think it's a really good signing, and I think it's one of these as well that, you mentioned Muller and Park and Herrera all being very unique, but the one thing that they all have in common is their effort, right, and how much heart they bring to the team. So I'm really looking forward to that. Sometimes you see someone like Pereira, he's got a lot of quality, but doesn't quite have the grit, does he? The metal to make a huge difference. And I hope this will be different.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Scott. I think he's going to be a massive, massive fan favourite if we can get him over the line. He celebrates goals as if he's a fan. He goes pretty bananas, which is always fills us fans with a bit of extra glee. And yeah, you're right. He's like a player's player. He's very aware of where his teammates are. And yeah, it would, like you say, he would provide cover for both Bruno and Pogba in those games where teams love to sit back. And we did struggle, especially before Bruno arrived, in breaking those teams down. We could effectively put all three in midfield. In the bigger games, that might be a little bit too gung-ho, even for United and Ollie. But against, or even, if we are struggling, we can bring one of them on and then have the three in midfield and have all that attacking prowess. Because remember, we were looking at the stats, weren't we? And I think no one outside the front four, including Bruno in that, scored since, Pogba at Villa?
Yeah.
And then before that was Harry Maguire in late into extra time at Norwich.
When he was playing as a striker,
yeah. So he was part of the front four, yeah. But before then, there was not a great deal of goals coming from the rest of the team. And that is something that, look, Martial and Rashford posted their best seasons for the club. Greenwood posted his, obviously, best season for the club by far. But at the same time, there's only so many goals your strikers can get you. You have to post from elsewhere in the team too.
Yeah, you're right. And I really hope that, obviously, given a more ordinary season, not like next season, hopefully going to be, that we're going to be able to get goals pitched in from everywhere. One thing which I really like about the comparisons to Ander Herrera is one thing I loved about Herrera was that he was sort of two players in one, right? He could switch from attacking to defensive like that, or you gave him a game plan. You go and nullify Eden Hazard. He did it to the best of his ability. It's like a Swiss Army knife, right? We've got a player on the pitch who can do multiple jobs, and that's sort of like the Ollie way.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, Scott. I think always in our great teams have had very versatile players who can come in and slot in and do a job and follow instructions. Herrera, I've missed that option. I thought that we should have replaced him, and now it looks like we have in Van der Beek. And yeah, he can slot in. I've even seen him play false nine before and do a blooming good job. I think it was in the Champions League. So
he did it away at Spurs, right?
Yeah, it might well have been Spurs or Bayern.
That semi-final first leg that they won. And he scored, I'm sure.
He scored against Spurs in the semis, yeah, and Juve in the quarters too.
Yeah.
Look, he's got 9 caps for Holland. He wears the number 20 shirt for Holland. Will he be brave enough to ask for that at United? He might rub Ole Gunnar Solskjaer up the wrong way.
No, I don't think he will, no. Especially not after his comments about Robin van Persie. I'm going to go sneaky number 34.
All right, for his old pal Nouri.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
I think it'd be a nice touch.
Everyone knows the sad story. He was so close to him. Van der Beek slept in his bed when he was in that coma. So yeah, it would be a lovely touch because here Van der Beek was absolutely sure that Nouri would go to the top with him. And there's been a few Ajax players who have worn 34 after leaving the club as well. So yeah, that is a good call. He wore 22 for Ajax, which might be free if Romero goes, and then moved to 6. Worth noting, he was nominated for the Ballon d'Or in 2019 as well. So Yeah, we are getting a player who is coveted by other clubs around Europe, and apparently Ollie has sold him with his plan, and we might finally see that high press that Ollie's after.
Yeah, and it just makes you grateful for Edwin and Van der Sar, and you're sort of looking around Ajax's squad like, well, can we just take Neres instead of Sancho? Because, I mean, if we can get it done tomorrow, that'd be great, right?
Yes, Van der Sar has apparently helped this massively, and he can't be doing himself any harm in terms of going for that director of football role at United in the future, because he seems like he's doing a bloody good job at Ajax.
Yeah, he is. I'd love him there.
Yeah. Look, moving on to other transfer rumours, we've got this one seemingly on the brink of completion. There's not much to talk about in terms of Jadon Sancho, apart from the fact that following the Van der Beek news, people were saying we are still in for Sancho. There's no real movement. I guess the interesting stuff that's come alongside it is that reputable sources are saying that we're in for a centre-back, a right winger and a striker on top of Van der Beek.
Wow, and I'm hearing Thiago as well. We're trying to hijack that deal.
Yes, that's another one that's popped up, and seemingly the Van der Beek thing is not reliant. It doesn't cancel out possibly getting Alcantara. So look, the Jack Grealish thing seems to have sailed. I know we discussed this, didn't we? Maybe about a month ago, as in who we would prefer, and we couldn't believe the club were going after Grealish over Van der Beek, with Van der Beek being at such a tasty price. It seems like they went the way we wanted.
And look, to be honest with you, when you look at the comparison, there is no comparison, right? Grealish never played for England, never played in the Champions League. This guy's head and shoulders above him, and he might even be younger than him, right?
He is younger. Yeah.
So
he is younger.
It's half the price, and maybe not double the player, but at least better player.
And it fits the squad better, doesn't it? Because Van der Beek can come in instead of Pogba. He can come in instead of Bruno. He can come in instead of Matic if we need him to. He can probably do a job at a push somewhere across the front three as well, if we are kind of playing against a sort of a larger team where we really need to press. And in terms of the squad structure, yeah, he fits perfectly. So look, in terms of centre backs, Upamecano has popped up again, as well as Biachiele in Monaco. Leave it out, you
could do better.
So look, we've got those two on the radar. Some people who have been doing a bit of plane spotting, my old hobby, as you'll remember. It's not me this time, I promise you. After the Mkhitaryan debacle, but apparently Matt Judge, he went from Amsterdam, and then he went to Cologne, and then he went to Monaco, or a plane normally used by him. Now Cologne is very, very close to Dortmund, indeed. And of course, Badiashile plays for Monaco. So,
yeah, 2 + 2 = 8.
Come on, it's silly season, mate. We've got to have a bit of fun, haven't we? So, look, in terms of that, that looks the case. What do you think about this? You know, this, at the end of there, I said obviously we're going to possibly try and get a striker as well. What would you think in terms of that? People have been saying it might be a Josh King type. What do you make of that?
I would be surprised if we get anyone before January, given we have Ighalo and we have a good amount of options up there. We have 4 people who could probably play striker. I'd be surprised, but whereas Ighalo's going in January, right? So that's going to be one for January, mate.
I totally agree with you there. I would much rather us maybe get a Reguilon in at left back. Remember, we flagged him up after the Sevilla game, and now we are getting linked to him in terms, of course, Real Madrid own him. Apparently 20 to 30 million euros would get him. But the catch there is that Real Madrid will want a buyback clause. So I don't know if it's a road we want to go down. But in terms of the profile, in terms of an attacking left back who fits the age profile of the club, as long as Real Madrid's buyout clause is a whopper, then I'd much rather that than a striker. Like you say, we've got Ighalo and we hardly used him.
Yeah. But last summer he was after Dembele, wasn't he? And Lyon didn't qualify for the Champions League. Dembele actually qualifies as a homegrown player from when he played, I think it was Fulham.
Yeah.
So he qualifies as a homegrown player. It's sort of I don't know, I think that could be a sneaky target.
Yeah. Or Sancho's a homegrown player, get him in and we can play Mason or Marcus up front if we need him.
You should be the CEO. Yeah.
Blimey, I'll be writing checks all over the place, mate. Look, in terms of outgoings, it looks like Sergio Romero is going to be on his way out. Phil Jones, Marcus Rojo, Chris Smalling. Now Roma have been fully taken over. We maybe will be able to squeeze the full price we want out of them for him. Diogo Dalot is another one that's popping up on the outgoing list because, of course, he hasn't really played too many minutes, along with Jesse Lingard and Andreas Pereira. Look, Lingard started 22 games, Pereira 25 games last season. So anyone thinking there's not enough games to go around for Donny van der Beek, there definitely is. Do you reckon we'll be able to get rid of all of them? Or do you think, I mean, Juan Mata's another one that's popped up, of course, with Van der Beek coming in. What do you think? Are there any of those that you'd like to keep? Or would you be happy for all of them to go through the exit door?
I wouldn't be happy for them all to go. I think, I've always loved Juan Mata, but I do maybe think that with the inclusion of Van der Beek now, his opportunities might be limited. If it's between him and Lingard, I'd probably say it's going to be Lingard due to the homegrown and the youth on his side, if you will. I mean, although he's 28 now. I mean, it's going to be tough to get rid of all of them, right? Those three defenders, Jones, Rojo, and Smalling. I mean, Smalling's obviously got suitors, but it's going to be tough to get rid of Jones and Rojo.
Yeah, well, Estudiantes want Rojo, but they're not offering a great deal for him. So, that's one. Romero should be pretty easy to get out the door if he wants to go. We'd I presume, get a reasonable price for him. Apparently, Chelsea are a bit interested in him as well. I wouldn't mind that at all. I don't think I know he's a great number 2, but I wouldn't want him to be our number 1. So that wouldn't bother me too much at all. Smalling, like you say, should go. Dalot will have plenty of suitors, I would have thought,
should do, yeah.
If Ollie wants to shift him. Look, the only thing I'd say is that if we seal this Van der Beek deal and then we did get Jadon Sancho in, it would be around 148 million quid we've spent, and we've actually never spent north of 150 million in any transfer window. So it would be a record transfer window if we got those two and any more.
Yeah, but that's assuming that we're paying all of Sancho up front. Right?
No.
That's the hold up. We're trying to see how little we can...
But in terms of, when you're putting the figures together, it's all, even if it's add-ons and whatever, well, not add-ons, if it's paid in installments, it all goes into that window. It's the way FFP do it as well. So it would still be a record, because obviously the ones in the past were not all paid up front either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But hopefully, I mean, some people are saying we're going for it. We're going on a mission, was the quote in the transfer market. So maybe a couple of weeks too late, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, let's see. Because, I mean, to be honest, the good sign is we've just showed we can pull off a transfer in about 2 days. Super. They don't all have to take 3 weeks.
Yeah. Maybe we should be getting Edwin van der Sar in as our director of football after all.
I'm telling you, is there anyone else from Ajax we could have? Deals just to go.
Look, under 23s continued their pre-season at the weekend, taking on Huddersfield, full team. So you're playing on a championship club there. And I have to say, they played absolutely superbly. What did you make of the performance? It was 3-3, and quite a few players covered themselves in quite a bit of glory, actually.
Yeah, I thought they were all fantastic, to be honest with you. I mean, however many months out, there was no restart for the under-23s, right? So these kids haven't played for about 6 months. I thought they all did really well. I thought Medjbury, he looks years ahead of his time, doesn't he?
He does. And also, it was a pretty young side as well. Against it's a full adult team. Yeah. We had Carney in goal, we had Ethan Laird, Ted Mengi captain the side, Dishon Bernard alongside him, Reece Devine. Midfield was tasty as you like, Ethan Galbraith, Dylan Levitt and James Garner.
Nice.
The only thing with those three is that 2 of them at least might well be on loan, which would be a real shame. I'd like to see that midfield really tear that sort of, because they're up in Division 1 now of the Premier League 2. Mark Helm, Anthony Alanga and Hannibal Medjbury, as you say, played as a false 9. That's one thing with the 23s is they lack that out-and-out striker, which meant that Hannibal did play in that role. Who stood out for you, Scott?
Hannibal was fantastic. I thought Dylan Levitt was great as well. And I thought Ted Mengi at the back was pretty good. I know we conceded 3 goals, but I think he wasn't bullied around. He wasn't over-muscled. I thought he was solid.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Mark Helm opened the scoring, caught their keeper with his pants around his ankles. Brilliant pace to close him down, and also doing Joel Pereira a favour as well, because Pereira has actually joined Huddersfield on loan So that might put a bit of doubt in their manager's head about who to start and hopefully get Pereira some minutes.
It should, yeah. It should, because that was farcical.
The second was pretty tasty. Anthony Elanga fired in from a quite outrageous ball, really, from Deschamps Bernard. Bernard obviously starting as a centre-back, and he threaded that through like Michael Carrick.
Yeah, reminiscent of it, wasn't it?
It was. It was indeed. Look, they fired back with a quick double, free kick in there. A little bit of a question mark over the keeper, maybe. Of course, he played in the under-18s last season, Carney. And then Juninho Bakuna bundled in a second. It was a kind of goal that the first have conceded a few times, wasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe that's where they learn it.
Yeah. Look, they took the lead, and then Arno Puigmal set up Hannibal for a really well-taken goal, wasn't it? Great play by Arno, and then Hannibal with a very accomplished touch, swivel, and fired it home.
He's only, 18, 19?
17, Scott.
Outrageous.
It was outrageous, and it was outrageous the way he was getting stuck in as well. He was, if they gave him a little bit of a tasty challenge, he was squaring up to all these seasoned pros. I really like that side of him.
Yeah, you see, I think that is the reason we didn't give Angel Gomez his contract. And that's one thing you just mentioned that Angel Gomez didn't have. He didn't have the ability to turn around and stand up to players, did he?
Yeah. And actually, Hannibal looks like he beefed up a little bit too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, as we say, look, he played false nine. His best position is probably more, like you say, of an Angel Gomez or a Bruno position, or maybe even a little bit deeper box to box. So there's more to come from him, but it will help his development if he's playing in that position, and obviously his confidence banging in all those goals.
Yeah, and hopefully someone like Donny van der Beek showing him how to be industrious and how to be tenacious and what have you will make him a great player. I have him maybe three games this season for the first, Hannibal.
Yeah. Look, we'll just go through. Look, Galbraith has been called up to the Northern Ireland under-21s, which is great. Joel Pereira, as I said, has gone out on loan already. Matej Kovar has gone to Swindon on loan, the other goalkeeper. They're obviously in League One. Aliou Traoré has gone to Caen for 1 year into Liga 2. And then James Garner is potentially going on loan. Huddersfield fancy him now after him facing up to them. Coventry, Bournemouth, Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday, 2 interested. What do you think? I mean, of course, we want the individuals to go out and get some experience, but we also want to post a good season for the under-23s. It's going to be a fine balance, isn't it?
It is. We need to stay in the top division for the under-23s. And, as well as we played last season, we've got to remember we're in the second division. So, yeah, that's imperative. And also I think that a really good amount of experience that they can learn is by staying in-house and learning the United way, right? Some of these players that you earmark for being United players for 10 years, you sort of want them to learn the DNA of the club.
Yeah, you do, don't you? I mean, out of those, look, you said Hannibal. You expect to have a few first-team appearances. Who else would you pick out of that particular lineup? I know there was a few that didn't play to maybe take the step up and get a couple of appearances this year too.
Ethan Laird.
Yeah.
Will probably play 10 games this season. Ted and Mengi, I mean, depending on whether we get another centre-back, he should get a few games. And depending on when Axel's coming back. I mean, no one ever talks about Axel anymore.
No.
And depending on whether they go on loan, you've got to think that maybe either Garner or Levitt could get a couple of games.
Yeah, spot on, Scott. Yeah, those are all the ones. They're the ones you earmark at the moment to potentially be United first teamers. Of course, with the midfield, we're gonna have a packed squad, aren't we? But if we have some of those dead rubbers possibly in the Champions League, if we can get that done and dusted early, the benefit of doing that is we can do what we did in Europa League last season and give your Lairds, your Levitts, your Garners that time on the first team's field. And look, Hannibal, he's only 17, but yeah, he's certainly an eye catcher, isn't he?
And he is. And it remains to be seen whether there is going to be 12 subs on the bench, right?
Yes, there's question marks over that, isn't there? Both in the Premier League and the Champions League. So
I think if there are still 12 subs, then those lads are at least going to get a lot of experience by being with a matchday squad and going through everything, you know?
Yeah, I'd kind of like one of them to go if we had to out Levitt and Garner.
Yeah.
Let one of them go out, one of them stay. Because I want to watch them in the 23s. Yeah. And then you got obviously got Hannibal and Elanga there. Hopefully they can get some kind of striker in as well. And then, like you say, at the back, at least 2 out of those 4 could possibly make it to the top, and Deschamps Bernard looks pretty useful too. So, yeah, really enjoyable watch that, actually. And yeah, they did themselves proud.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, just another little bit snippet of news from the academy. Joe Hugo signed from Sunderland during lockdown. That's been rubber stamped by the FA now. So that's all clear. He's a giant striker from Sunderland. So he'll be joining too. Before we wrap it up, Scott, Harry Maguire, of course, had since we last chatted, had his court case, got convicted and sentenced, and then appealed against that sentence, and is now, under Greek law, considered a totally free man and a totally innocent man until proven guilty. Apparently the court case happened so quickly because in Greece they've got this system where if you're caught red-handed, which means you're caught in the act of a crime, then within the next 48 hours you have that court case because the police have caught you doing it. Of course, normally the police aren't involved, right? So if you catch someone shoplifting and the police say, yeah, he definitely did it, there's no reason for the police's word to be doubted. However, when the police are accusing you of bashing them, it's a different story. England selected him and then deselected him, and now they should really be reselecting him because he's innocent. All a bit of a mess, Scott. We said we'd back him from the start. How do you feel now?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. I think it's a witch hunt, if you will, and I honestly think nothing will ever be brought about from this ever. You'll never hear anything about this ever again.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we said we'd stand by him, whatever happened. He's one of ours. He's our skipper. I totally agree. I think it seems, especially the bit that caught my eye was that when the police said, "Oh, if he just apologises, then we'll let it all go." It's like that doesn't really wash, does it?
Yeah, yeah. I'll be apologising for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, we're still backing Harry Maguire, and I think you're right, Scott. I think Maguire's team will have a chance to put a proper case together. I think they got caught short, really, with it being so quick, and they just rushed it through and pinged it on him. They got their 15 minutes of fame, but you know what I expect? I expect Harry Maguire to have an absolute whopper of a season this season coming up. I think he will be he will almost be feeling like he has to earn his place, his reputation back, and I'm expecting a big season incoming.
Just don't put any money on it, all right?
Yeah. You do me short, Scott. I win some crackers, I tell you. Did I ever tell you how that Tyson Fury round 7?
No. No, but did you have every round though?
Guess the round and everything. No, I didn't, mate. It had one round.
All right.
Guess round 7. Unbelievable.
Did you pull it out of a hat, or was it
No.
Was it a pool at an office, and that's all you were able to choose?
No, it was an intelligent decision. I'd done my research. I'd done my due diligence. I tell you what, though, in round 6, I was blooming because he was almost had him out in round 6, and I was almost on the floor. I tell you. And then round 7 came, bang, in came the towel. You beauty, massive red as well. Tyson Fury, as we saw in his birthday celebrations. Pretty wild day in the Fury household. So
I've still got that song in my head. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. Very catchy indeed.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for joining us again, everyone. Subscribe to the 100% United pod on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your preferred podcast platform. Follow our Instagram at United100podcast too. We'll be back on Wednesday with part 2 of our season review, as long as nothing major happens, in which case we'll do a regular show. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, jump back, have a listen before Wednesday. Until then, thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, TC.
Take care. Cheerio, Reds.
Tara.